Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 19th of January, comes to you from London. And of course, US markets were closed yesterday for Martin Luther King Day, and we've got the swearing in of the new president tomorrow. So markets are fairly quiet at the moment. If we look at the dollar, it's holding on to its gains. The last week or so, we've just had this resurgence that's showing up on the daily chart, and the weekly chart, we seem to have found a floor here. Remembering this is my weekly, daily, 60-minute chart, long-term, medium-term and short-term view of the market with the corresponding point and figure targets. No clear downside targets on the short-term chart or the medium-term chart. This big one hanging over us on the long-term chart. But for the moment, the trends are still bearish on the long and medium term, but the short term we have seen a little bit of a recovery. Seeing the euro sitting at 121.10, we've got a little bit of a recovery going on this morning, but it has been short-term bearish with that stronger dollar. But of course, the trend longer term is still up. And if we look at the yen, we're sitting at 104. We were as low as 102 on the dollar, so it's key that we are seeing that recovery there, short-term bullish. Do have an upside target not activated. Still lots of downside targets hanging over us, so the weaker dollar is not off the cards. Sterling sitting at 136 against the US dollar, has recovered a little bit this morning. The trend is still up, breaking quite clearly here to multi-year highs, so sterling looking stronger, and against the euro holding that 112.30 level, just struggling to break that resistance, but it's looking like it might, and that would get us long-term back above the cloud. Of course, we've got a very big range going on here between 107 and 120. That's the territory for sterling. Bitcoin sitting at $37,300. So the interesting thing is we've rocketed and we've held, so it's just indicating not many sellers. So this is looking better and better for Bitcoin all the time. No clear targets really. The target's been met on the longer term charts, but short term we do have these targets now to 39,000 and 39,400. So those are the ones to watch. If you're trading Bitcoin, use the 1 minute charts. Taking a look at the market, of course, the US market was closed yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how we open there today. Let's go straight to the futures. And if we look at the S&P future, we're up 0.5% on the S&P and up just under 1% on the Nasdaq future. So looking like a relatively strong opening today. The VIX volatility is down nearly 5%. That's the fear index, moving back into bearish territory on the short-term chart. So the markets are really taking everything that's happening in their stride. The DAX in Germany is up 0.25% on the cash market, and if we look at the CAC 40, it's relatively flat. Still struggling to make new highs here, unlike the DAX, which is breaking to new highs. Japan was up 0.5%. The Hang Seng really motoring up 2.7%. It's a really big move there, taking us really clearly bullish, and more to play for based on these targets. And the Shanghai index was down just under 1%, but Chinese stocks have broken this year, so that's quite key. The Sensex in India was up nearly 2%, and the Aussie market was up 1.2%. So we are seeing quite a lot of movement there as well. Taking a look at gold, we're sitting up just 0.4%, just starting to wander out of the cloud. The stronger dollar recently hasn't helped gold on the short term, but the longer term chart's still looking pretty good. And silver is actually down 0.25% this morning, so still not quite into short term bullish territory here. Copper up 0.4%, and US 10-year yields seem to have found a floor at around 1.1%. So interesting to see that. We had this big jump, the bit of the pullback, the level of uncertainty. Will we rise again? And there's some long-term resistance going on there, but big upside targets for bond yields generally. It will be interesting to see how the tech majors trade today, given that they really struggled to make new highs above the September levels that we saw. That's true of Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and probably one of the worst. And Microsoft not looking great there with downside targets, but probably one of the worst looking charts is Facebook, falling away here on that medium-term chart. Downside pressure of a further 6%, 8%, and even 30%. So something's going on there. Taking a look at the energy mix now, we've got Brent crude up just under 1% this morning, so that's looking stronger. It's still pretty much in a range, so it's quite key. We were neutral Brent this week, and WTI, much the same picture, of course, so that's quite key. US nat gas, we were actually bearish this week, so we are seeing pressure on US nat gas down lower there as we just head. Looking at coal, again, we're just range bound between the 65-72 level at the moment. Emissions, we're sitting at 32.42 this morning, so we're just short-term bearish. That trend has been broken a little bit as well. And taking a look at gas markets, we see they're up reasonably well this morning. The key thing on gas is this global picture that we're seeing. These charts here are really quite interesting. We've got US nat gas, UK gas with the currency, the sterling currency put into dollars, and Dutch gas converted from kilowatt hours to MMBTU. So these two products now looking much closer together, being priced similarly. And then, of course, LNG. This is the Japan Korea marker. So what's really key on LNG at the moment is literally, will we break higher or will we break lower? And we see here we've had this move down, bit of a recovery. If we break lower, those of you who study the point and figure targets can just take that level to about $4. That means we're probably going to fall a further $8. So from 16 back to 8, back to where we were roughly at the beginning of December. And so no big surprises there. And of course, if we rocket, that's going to give us new upside targets as well. This is the situation to watch. Below 16 is bearish, above 20 is bullish. It's that simple. That's the thing to watch for global gas markets on certainly the LNG impact. Taking a look at TTF, we're up this morning 3.6% as well. And if we look at the winter gas we see here, we just also just seem to be finding a floor, having obviously had a strong, a big fall away from that rise. German power sitting up 2% this morning, getting back to near the €50 mark. We were neutral power this week, so it was a pretty hard call. We're range bound at the moment. And if we look at Nordic power, much the same picture. We're just finding a floor at the moment. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.